The Transformers franchise is one of the most lucrative and well-known film series in recent history, but not all actors were eager to jump on board. For instance, the modern Hollywood action man, Dwayne Johnson. For all his mainstream success, it's a surprise that The Rock doesn't have a long-running role of his own. The franchise Viagra, as coined by Forbes, has used his star power to reinvigorate several other sagas, such as Journey to the Center of the Earth, G.I. Joe, the Fast and the Furious series, and even a guest appearance in an episode of Star Trek Voyager back when the show needed a rating bump to save it from hitting rock bottom. Pun not intended. Back in 2013, Johnson almost joined Transformers as Shia LaBeouf didn't intend to come back for a fourth installment, leaving the film needing a new lead. However, before Michael Bay decided to settle on Mark Wahlberg, he had a very different guy in mind. Considering Johnson's mix of brawn, charm, and charisma, it came as no surprise that he was Bay's first choice. But don't feel too bad for the star, as he still became part of the franchise after voicing an Autobot named Cliffjumper in Transformers Prime back in 2010. However, before either Johnson or Wahlberg were considered, the series was a lot less focused on brawny, muscle-headed heroes.
My name is Cliffjumper, lieutenant in the Autobot Resistance. My safe return when he gets...
Enter Jonah Hill, who came very close to being cast in Revenge of the Fallen as the film wanted to focus more on ordinary everymen, like LaBeouf's Sam. Back then, Hill was just coming off the Superbad hype train as well and was a major rising star. The trajectory of his film career could have been permanently altered had he not been convinced by Seth Rogen, a close friend, to turn it down. Ultimately, the role was passed on to Raymond Rodriguez, with Hill choosing to have a cameo in Ben Stiller's Night at the Museum sequel instead. Thankfully, Hill still went on to star in plenty of hits, even earning himself a pair of Oscar nominations along the way.
What Variety and Rolling Stone said you would get nominated for an Oscar again for this movie, so that's good.
I have no control over that, but that's very nice.
But while many actors have come to regret passing up on roles in iconic franchises over the years, some don't have any at all, choosing to turn it down out of principle. As was the case with Aziz Ansari, the Master of None and Parks and Recreation star, decided to pass on an offer to play a small but very racially objectionable role in the Bay Saga, namely a call center guy with an accent, as the star revealed to Vulture back in 2015. The actor wasn't happy with the stereotyping and didn't intend on faking the accent for the job. Eventually, the role wound up being played by Ravi Patel, a friend of Ansari's, and although he harbored no ill will, the star was still not happy with Hollywood's trend of racial stereotyping and token diversity. Thankfully, he would get his breakout role just 2 years later in the beloved Parks and Recreation series.
I have a credit card!
Sir, the attitude is not going to speed things up any bit at all. I'm going to ask you to speak into the mouthpiece very clearly.
However, it looks like sometimes you don't even have to show your face in a film for you to turn it down, like what happened to Howard Stern, the undisputed king of radio shock jocks, known for his raunchy antics and wild guests, who went from a simple morning show talk host to one of the most popular anchors of satellite radio. Along the way, he even wrote a memoir called Private Parts, which turned into a big screen movie that he starred in as himself back in 1997. Stern even gave Arnold Schwarzenegger a run for his money with a well-publicized run for governor. However, he also came close to adding a role in the Transformers franchise to his lengthy resume. While he's famous for his outsized attitude and personality, Stern is also notable for his distinctive voice. So, as Bay searched for talented voice actors for roles in the film, Stern was a natural choice, especially in the role of Frenzy, the slippery Decepticon spy who goes around disguising himself as a radio. So, it was no coincidence that Stern would have been the perfect man for the job. However, his agents convinced him that he shouldn't take the role as his talents would be wasted voicing a literal radio. Still, although the radio star turned down the part, Bay also offered a role to Larry Green, another frequent guest on The Howard Stern Show. Don't be worried if you don't recognize the name, as he usually goes by the stage name Beetlejuice, using the moniker across multiple spots on the show. The actor's manager, Bobby Rooney, revealed that Michael Bay approached the star for a role in Revenge of the Fallen, showing him images of the Transformer that he wished the star to voice. Unfortunately, the comedian was in one of his infamous moods at the time and left a bad impression on the director, who was put off by Green's flippant attitude, realizing that it probably wouldn't be fun working with the star anyway.
Is it true Michael Bay, the director, called you in for a meeting to be part of Transformers 2, the movie?
Yes.
Yeah. And
you had a meeting with Michael Bay?
Robin,
Right.
honest to God, Beat did. Where's Bobby? He'll tell the story. Let Bobby tell the story.
Yeah, so she says that Michael Bay's a big fan, and he's thinking about using Beatles' voice
Wow.
for one of the characters. So, you know, would it be okay if we came and met him at Princeton University?
However, there are many other cases of vocal performers turning down roles in the franchise, even those who have already been part of it, such as Corey Burton, a veteran voice artist who's taken part in several Transformers cartoon series over the years, even voicing the iconic villain Shockwave in the original animated series back in 1984. So it's no surprise that he was also approached for a role in the live-action films. However, despite another one of his characters, Soundwave, appearing in the third film, Dark of the Moon, he wasn't asked to play him. Instead, he was asked to audition for Jazz, someone he'd never voiced before, and Brawl, whom he'd voiced before but only for a one-line cameo. But despite the horrible casting, it doesn't sound like Burton was interested in being involved with the live-action series in the first place, perfectly happy staying in the animated corner of the franchise. Shifting back our attention to actors in general, several non-high-profile celebrities were also considered for leading roles in the franchise, one of them being Ashley Walters. The actor and rapper is a highly respected star in the scene with many big projects under his belt, with an acting career that stretches back to the 90s, appearing in hit series such as Hustle and Doctor Who, as well as starring in the lead role of Duchesne in the critically acclaimed British series Top Boy. Back in the mid-2000s, he was also given a chance to star in the first Transformer film, which he talked about in a 2017 interview for Your Cinema, where he was asked about the roles he'd turned down in his career, revealing that he was offered the role of Tyrese.
What sorts of parts did you turn down when you were avoiding being typecast? Was there any like parts that you thought, oh, I turned it down, but it was quite a good role?
Transformers. They offered me Tyrese's role in the Transformers franchise. And I'd signed this deal for this independent movie in the UK, so I had to say no.
Unfortunately, although it would have been a major role for the star, it just wasn't in the cards, as he wouldn't have been able to star in Top Boy if he'd taken the role. Good thing he didn't, as I doubt anyone else could have played that role as well as he did. Moving on to the cherry on top, however, is a star who'd practically been the face of the live-action Transformer series for the better part of a decade, Shia LaBeouf. Back in 2007, the star who'd been stuck playing the role of sidekicks in films, such as Keanu Reeves' Constantine and Will Smith's iRobot, finally got the chance to play an action hero himself, starring as Sam Witwicky in the first 3 Transformers films, a role that quickly turned him into a superstar, with each film being more successful than the last. However, Shia turned down the role when it was time for a 4th installment, forcing Bay to hire Mark Wahlberg in order to succeed him as the series lead. His character's fate was finally explained in the 5th film, where it was revealed that he died at some point after the 3rd film, with Vivian Wembley being the last surviving member of his family line. Rest in peace, Sam. You'll be missed. Not as much as Megan Fox, though. But hey, that's all the time we had for stars who turned down the chance to star in the franchise, and I hope to see you all in the next video.